Hello Bertha, I'm very pleased to welcome you today to Tonalité de Femme. So first of all, what is the story of your two names, Bertha and Bertha?
Oh, okay. My given name is Bertha. I was named after my father's mother, who was from Kentucky in the south of the United States. Her full name was Bertha May Dickerson, and that's my name, Bertha May. But I also have a twin sister who couldn't pronounce Bertha, so it transformed into Buffa. So.
You have a very unique upbringing, being born in America and growing up in Abidjan in the Ivory Coast. How did you adapt to French African lifestyle?
Well, I think when we moved to Côte d'Ivoire in Abidjan, I was 7 years old, and so I think that was a really critical moment in my personal development and just in terms of establishing my worldview. So I didn't necessarily feel like there was an adaptation to, something different. I think the biggest difference I remember was we left the United States in the middle of a snowstorm in February and arrived in February during the hot season in Côte d'Ivoire. And so I went from one extreme to the other. So that was the most vivid differences and adaptation that I had to make. So, I think my parents were very vested in ensuring that we tried to get as much out of our experience in Africa, not only living in such a different place, but they felt it really important not to isolate ourselves from what was going on around us. And so we didn't go to the American schools for the long term. And so they put us in I say local school. It was still considered a private school. And I think, at the age of 7, it was really easy for us to learn French. I don't have memories of struggling, to learn French. In fact, I found that it was fun to imitate the sounds. And in fact, I remember once being lined up for class in 10e at Collège Jean Mermoz, and teasing some of my classmates. And I used to love to hear them saying, "Arrête!" And I just thought that was the funniest thing. And so I enjoyed imitating those different, sounds and usage of language. And then, of course, Côte d'Ivoire is known for its sense of humor and just general positiveness, although we all know that it's struggling right now. I think that there's a lightness in people's sense of humor, and that comes through in the slang called nushi. And that to me was always fun, seeing some of the commercials on TV. We didn't necessarily watch TV for the programs, but for the commercials because of that sense of humor. So, we had the Solibra commercials, or, the Chocody chocolat. C'est le bon chocolat de Côte d'Ivoire. So, that was fun, learning the nushi.
Bertha, you have worked extensively within the impact of social change. How does this relate to the development of public health for women and children?
Yeah, I feel like in terms of my outlook and upbringing, certainly, I have the example of my parents who both worked extensively in the civil rights movement in the United States. In many ways, my father and mother were pioneers in their fields. My father in medicine and in surgery, and my mother in education. And so the spirit of creating social change is very much part of not only my character, but just, the essence of who I am and our family. So it just seemed only natural for me to want to address public health issues, and specifically around reproductive rights and gender issues, because women are overwhelmingly affected by things like HIV/AIDS, and also lack access to comprehensive reproductive health services, including family planning, being able to control their fertility by choice, and just leading the life that they want. And so I've continued to work in Africa, even having grown up there. I have continued to work in East and Southern Africa and in West Africa on those issues. And also have had the opportunity to work for a foundation here in the Netherlands, where we've been able to give monies to women's organizations who are trying to create social change within their communities, and building stronger networks on improving services, but also providing support to women in need, but also building on the strengths of women, not looking at women as victims or always being destitute, but really looking at the strength in which they possess in creating change in their communities.
And what do you believe are the essential future projects to build a sustainable Africa?
Wow, that's a big question. I think, without getting too political, I don't like to use the D word, but I think democratic principles are really critical from the standpoint that I think everybody's voice matters. So long as people's voices are not heard across the board, I don't think that you're going to establish adequate human rights for everybody. And I think that's essential for building nations, but also building communities, strong communities, healthy communities. And I think women's voices are often overlooked, and as a result, I think also young women and children are often not heard or listened to, is probably a better way of putting it. So I think it would be really critical to continue to look at supporting those voices, but also look at ways to supporting minorities within communities who are often not able to speak up for themselves.
Bertha, what is your US favorite tradition?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Let's see. Huh. That's interesting. I'd have to think about that. A U.S. tradition. I like Thanksgiving for the food. I would say, I don't know if it's necessarily a U.S. tradition, but I guess the tradition, especially in the South, of having a Sunday meal en famille, I think is a really nice way to bring people together and to just build community and just bringing people's energies together, and also having fun cooking. And that's something that I try. I don't necessarily always do in my house, but it's certainly something that we enjoy to do as a family. So,
thank you so much, Bertha. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.